Hello, listeners, and welcome back to the Community Exchange podcast, where we talk to friends old and new about their careers and the future of media industry. I'm Matthew Scott Goldstein, better known as
MSG.
Thank you, Ken. As always, the Community Exchange podcast is brought to you by OpenWeb, the company building a safer, fairer, and more trustworthy internet. Now we have a great conversation with you with Ken Blom, not Bloom, Chief Business Officer at BuzzFeed. Ken is a results-driven media executive who leads a strategic foresight, scaling digital businesses through ad tech, innovation, performance marketing, and dynamic revenue operations. Okay, Ken, where do you want to start?
Well, I told you I had something for you on the MSG.
Okay, yeah, you didn't say it when I called it out. Okay, what is it?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt your flow. You're third on my MSG list.
You know, it's so funny. The last
Do you think about
podcast,
that?
someone else said.
Someone did?
Someone said their father was MSG.
Oh, I was going to say Madison Square Garden.
And then this was
Message. Matthew Scott
Oh,
Goldstein.
message. Oh, there you go.
You're above the sodium, so.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so now where do you want to start with your career?
I mean, I could start quickly. My early career,
Correct.
agency world.
Which agency?
IPG, Reprise Media within IPG. Old days of Cadreon and trying to roll up
In New York?
In New York.
Okay.
Yeah. Paid search, hand building keywords, which is not.
So that was the origin of everything.
That was the origin of everything, and not how we buy search today, right? But a lot of learning that exists today of what is intent. How do you sort of get to people on digital? And what I saw at the agency and what, sparked my jump to BuzzFeed was early days social. And at the agency, you had kind of this
Okay, so what year did you jump to BuzzFeed?
2012.
Okay.
Right. So in 2012, you had early days social on Facebook, and you had at the agency, the display buyers and the search buyers, and social, paid social at least, was sort of this blend in between.
Okay, but it wasn't big. Facebook Meta wasn't big.
I remember people saying, yeah, we'll have the B team work on that. Like, it is not, right?
And then 10 years later, fast forward, it's complete.
Totally opposite.
Okay.
Yeah. So my jump to BuzzFeed, when I joined BuzzFeed, 20 million UVs, early days, doing a lot of different things. My goal was to sort of figure out, okay, we tried everything, and it was more of a lab and trying to understand how do we drive distribution for this content that we're making.
So you're making the content at BuzzFeed.
Content's being made, and I'm trying to figure out, all right, I'm using display.
Audience development.
Using, there weren't even ads in the news feed of Facebook.
Okay.
I'm on the right rail.
I remember the right rail.
Yeah, the right rail, the bearded woolly ads for things like that. And you're trying to figure out what is getting people to click. But in addition to, it's just like search, it's keywords. It's trying to understand how can you get content to be distributed. Then Facebook goes.
Were you buying ads on BuzzFeed on Facebook then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or from day one, we were like, okay, let's try this. That was the beauty of being at BuzzFeed and it being so experiential and experimenting and really thinking okay, the most important thing here is your curiosity. And to try to figure out how do you make this content move.
In 2012, 2013, you could do whatever the hell you wanted trying to figure this stuff out.
Exactly. Yeah. This is all before even thinking about some of the ways you use the content and the rights and the right. A lot has changed. In addition to the platforms that existed back then versus what we
so you did
have today.
So you're buying Facebook basically at BuzzFeed, building traffic.
Buying Facebook, building traffic, understanding distribution, sort of thinking about, we used to say the content is the engine, the platforms are the tracks, and how do we sort of understand and, meet people where they are on these new platforms, right? That's 2012. Fast forward 2015, 2016, BuzzFeed's taking all that and we're creating Tasty, a brand built on Facebook, right?
Okay, and that was the first derivative brand they created, right?
It was the first, we had several derivative brands at the time. That was the one that took off the most.
Well, there's a lot of brilliance from Jonah, the CEO, of trying to create new brands. Not too many companies were doing it back then.
No, and they certainly weren't saying, let's start it on a platform, right? And yes, sure, we could look at the history and say, should we have started on a platform? Tasty's still a big brand today, right? And it started on Facebook.
That's great.
Right? And so, sure, Facebook didn't pay us for it, but we have a brand, right? And we have that. We started a lot of other different brands at that time too, that like follower accounts were crushing it. And I remember us being almost like dissatisfied because they weren't as big as Tasty or growing as fast.
But those other brands
as
are not
Tasty.
around today, are they?
They've been, not necessarily around. Like the parts are more embedded into like the core brands of BuzzFeed, Tasty, HuffPost, not necessarily, some of the brands that were existing.
Okay, and then how about BuzzFeed News? What year was that?
BuzzFeed News, I want to say was 2014. I would have to double check.
Okay.
But early days, like when Ben Smith came on, it was
Ben Smith, who then went to the New York...
From Political to BuzzFeed to New York Times.
With John Steinberg also.
Well, John didn't go to the Times, but,
No, but John Steinberg was...
Steinberg was there these early BuzzFeed days. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy amount of talent there.
And we were in Flatiron. I remember that was like, yeah, you're right. It was a lot of buzz and energy around the hallways for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so what did you do after the paid search? After basically buying Facebook?
So just career state BuzzFeed, you're buying Facebook, and then we're figuring out Tasty, and now we're not just buying against articles, we're buying against video, and we're trying to grow different brands, and all of this also on behalf of branded content and clients, and how do we sort of get you the best product, right? I remember Tasty like shut off our accounts. They're like, this must be fraud. And you're like, oh, actually it's just performing that well, right? And when you optimized for what the consumers and the platform wanted, it would perform that well.
Literally lightning in a bottle. With the
Literally. Yeah. And so, move on from that, we have a portfolio of brands. We are selling branded content and scaling that to like a massive degree. And, my role changed more to what is not just ad operations and paid, but how do we make individual products? How do we sort of keep delivering on something that essentially gives that client a bit of that lightning in the bottle, right? And that experience. And then I think you can fast forward again, going public, buying.
What year did you go public?
2021.
Oh, and then who did you buy?
We bought Complex Networks.
Oh, I've totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Complex and going public all in the same year, coming out of the pandemic.
That's a big ass year.
Challenging.
Okay, challenging. Good word.
Yeah, challenging. A lot of work. Really exciting, and that said, you also saw like the market shifting and what people wanted from a branded content experience, right? So that roll up didn't necessarily like work the way we might have wanted, but I think we learned like a
But
lot.
at one point after Complex, it must have been a portfolio of like 10 or 15 brands out there, right?
That we had.
Well, it was Complex.
Complex, and then underneath Complex was First We Feast, Hot Ones,
Okay.
which we spun out Complex and then sold Hot Ones, First We Feast.
Okay, and how about Complex? How about the thing they do in
ComplexCon.
ComplexCon.
Yeah, that was a big part of it. And honestly, when we took on Complex, we're learning a different part. And you almost think of it as, at that time when we were all these brands, well, Complex is, they have this massive event and there's more commerce and a different form of commerce. BuzzFeed is a lot of affiliate and programmatic, and Tasty is food, and then you had BuzzFeed News at the time, and also HuffPost at the time. Like, you had all these different businesses in sort of one roof, so you were able to really like take a range of learning too.
You basically saw everything with all these brands.
Yeah,
the whole portfolio.
Yep. And now I think like you're on the other side of a lot of things, and what is every brand thinking about in the face of AI? Well, am I going to go more IP and events? Am I going to go into, right? Like, you could see where everyone's, or am I going to just go straight up podcasting? Or am I going to like double down on?
So before we get to that, were you still in New York? And when did you move?
I was still in New York. I moved to LA.
I want to hear the whole LA story.
Yeah,
I have a whole LA thing I want to run by you. So
okay, cool. I moved, this is more personal. I moved to LA in 2019, right before the pandemic. And I was living in Brooklyn before that, and we wanted more space, and who would have known that was like, it was October 2019, and 4 months later, I'm exploring LA for the first time.
Did you have family in LA, or was just?
No, it was, we have friends in LA, but it was.
And Jonah lives in?
He actually doesn't live too far from me. He's in LA as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I say, we wanted more space leaving Brooklyn, and I'm from New Jersey. and your options are Jersey, Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
We decided to just move across country.
Okay. And then the pandemic hits.
Pandemic hits.
You got the
working from
backyard here in LA, which
home.
is not that bad.
Yeah, it was definitely like obviously an experience for everyone, but at least I was like, oh wow, imagine we were in our apartment, right? And pandemic hits, and we've been there since. Yeah.
And then what did your job? What did you get up to today in your job? Because you kept on getting advancing.
Advancing. So yeah, 2021, you're combining the assets of Complex, and you're creating a different go-to-market, right? And then then you're learning, you're spinning out assets, and you're diversifying, right?
A whole different set of skills.
So, which I think kind of brings us to maybe like a 2-year jump or a 3-year jump to today, which is BuzzFeed is Tasty, HuffPost, and then the BuzzFeed, the big red brand, right?
So it's 3 brands left.
Three
but at one point there must have been 10 or.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, there's still some sub brands that are underneath, but the 3 primary brands, or I would say like the 3 P&L brands.
Okay, let me ask you this crazy question. Looking back, anything you would have done or you think you and Jonah should have done differently?
I think we often talk about
without getting anyone in trouble.
I don't want to get anyone in trouble. No. I think we talk about creators a lot, and we talk about talent, and we talk about, we early days, the YouTube part of our business, like Quinta Brunson was one of our creators, and I could go on and on the list of names. Like the people who are in the creator industry today, many of them got their start at BuzzFeed, and it was like an education, right? Like,
so you could have harnessed that power.
Yeah, and it's a challenging thing to harness, right? But you think about what a lot of companies are doing today is the role of the media company to be one part talent agency, or is the role of the media company to be something else? And you're back and forth on, should they be employees or should they be really good contracts, right? So I think that there's harnessing that talent all the way through, but then there's other iterations of like, okay, how could some of our brands be as creator led and that be good for them and good for us? Because I've always believed in the 1 + 1 = 3 of the creator and the media brand. And that's like way more powerful than what, an individual might be able to do on their own. You think about for creators, their most important thing is time or being famous or money, just like everybody else. Publishers have a lot of those skill sets, right? So I think like creators is one thing I would probably say. Like we still are, like Tasty's a very creator friendly brand. But what would that
you could have built some to harness those creators a little more, leverage all the social media today.
And would you get into podcasting and podcasting is now video, and you sort of like could see the trajectory of what that might have looked like.
BuzzFeed did not do much podcasting?
We did some. It's funny, it never really fit, when you're there's a lot of this goes into like, well, how are you monetizing it? Right. And monetizing a podcast and selling a podcast and the ad on the podcast is really different than, selling scale.
And there's only a handful of media companies like the New York Times and Vox
that are doing
that have done podcasting well and monetization.
Correct. So we had
it seems like there could have been some white space there.
Yeah, we had a few, but we were like a little bit later, and we were sort of yeah.
So let me tell you my LA story.
Okay.
So we're going to jump into sort of where we are today and AI and everything. I believe there's 4 really important cities in the United States when it comes to AI. And I'll give them to you in just random order. First one, of course, is San Francisco. All the AI companies are there. All the tech is there. All the talent's there. That's number 1.
Yep.
Number 2 is New York. Traditionally, most of the news and information and publishers are headquartered in New York. There's some other places, but New York is still the big mecca for that. Number 3 is DC, right? Just because everything that's happening with the administration and regulation, it's a big hub. And then my 4th one, my surprise one, which just came to me in the past couple of weeks, is LA. And I think LA is so important because LA is the video creator economy, the video creator world. And I think the thing that LA has more of after video creation is actually lawyers.
Yeah.
And I think the lawyers become a really important part of what the future of AI means and how you negotiate, how you get contracts done, and how you get money from the LLM. So I talk too much. I'm not going to talk anymore. I want to hear.
No,
But
that makes
I just
that makes a
wanted
lot
to
of
get that
sense.
out because I
Yeah.
thought that's a really interesting point. So I want to hear what
Well, first I'm wondering if there's a fifth of just like where the plant is located that the turbines are moving. But
yeah, I think that's Pittsburgh and somewhere else where they
yeah.
are. That's a good point. Yes, where the
maybe
NVIDIA
that's-
chip and the data centers are.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I think the lawyer piece makes a lot of sense. When I think about that, we are often talking about the publisher and the text to page, right? So, articles, which were so obviously stolen. And
In hindsight, that's like
in
yes.
hindsight, yes. And that's just like, we kind of are like continuing that conversation. The piece that we're not talking about as much, because it's really just so much more distributed, is video, individuals, content, like talent, right? And to your point, I think LA's got both the talent and the video, which is not as big a conversation than the publishing, it feels like.
But it feels like because the lawyers are there, it might sort of move a little quicker.
Move along faster, yeah. And also, yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking is if the lawyers are in LA and the tech companies are in San Francisco, it's much easier for those two to talk than it is for San Francisco and New York to talk. It's a little bit easier too. Of course, Seattle, San Francisco, you probably put them together with Amazon. And,
certain West Coast airlines win. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about AI overall.
Yeah.
And Google Zero as a search person. What's your whole take on that?
Yeah. So I mean, yes, as a search person, I believe in it. As a search person, I also believe intent and discovery of content, right? Like when you're searching for something, it's because you were prompted already, right? So what doesn't get a lot of credit might be the BuzzFeed article that prompted you to do the search, right? And that's gotten better over the years, or the number of other things, the conversation you had in the hallway of why you eventually went to search. That search may change to ChatGPT, which is going to have far fewer advertising opportunities or link back to publisher. So it makes sense.
We're today is August 6th, but Google just had some kick-ass
Totally.
earnings, and it seems like people are still clicking on those blue links. They're just raising the rates.
Exactly, raising the rates. Yeah, I think my search experience has also proven Google has always made a lot of changes and tweaks to search, and it's do you remember when the link boxes were like a pale yellow? Yeah. Then they went to pale purple, and we were just like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like, this is far different. This is AI, but at the end of the day, they'll make sure those paid links get service.
Yeah, I just don't understand how people are gonna click on a paid link.
Yeah.
After I ask a question, and not 2 or 3 words, but a question, and I get an answer, why would I click on a blue link unless I want to buy something?
Yeah, your need to do it is going to change, right? It's not too different than like, we've been experiencing this in travel, right? Like when you search now, like most of the results are going to come, or when you search like 3 years ago, most of those results are showing up in the search results page. Like how often did you really need to go further, right? So I think, I believe in the Google Zero of it. We on the BuzzFeed side get most of our traffic on the Google area of Discover, and less, which is
right. And Discover, the talk is it's going to be AI driven pretty soon too.
Yeah, and did you see they rolled out sort of the like aggregated? So now if there's one article, or maybe there's like several articles about the same Ozzy Osbourne or whatever, you're going to see like, these five places sourced it, and it's aggregated for you. So you could see the AI of Discover it's shifting pretty.
Literally keep people inside the Google world and send them nowhere.
Correct. And so, but we get most of our traffic from Discover than we ever did SEO or SEM for that matter. Because it's always been about, whether it's our affiliate content or commerce content, it's like, how do you inspire people to do something or inspire people to buy something, and less so, what is the water, or what's the humidifier you need to go buy with deep research, right? It's a little bit more fun, engaging, and more entertainment than it is.
And is e-commerce and affiliates massive?
Yeah.
Can you tell me more about that a little bit?
Yeah, we do, roughly 60 million in revenue, or 600 million in GMV.
Gross merchandise value.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah. MSG, GMV.
Yeah, there you
go. So yeah, like on a yearly basis, and you could assume a lot of that is going to be Amazon and Walmart and Target, and Again, we're doing is what I feel is more important than just like capturing the intent of someone who was previously going to purchase. It's capturing intent that didn't exist before, right? You're literally letting discovery happen.
Yep.
And I think even when you get into like any search conversation, whether it's Google or ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using, you do still have needed to be inspired or prompted to go that extra step. And I think that's where publishing and to a degree content and IP all have a place. The question is how can we work together with, creating that full funnel link, right?
So if you think about affiliate e-commerce, right, and I want to buy the best laptop for my kid who's going to school, right? A year or two ago, you go to Google and you get 5 or 6 articles, and you click on one and you make the purchase. With an LLM and an AI agent, what's the process look like then?
Yeah, I think you just ask more questions of just like, oh, well, I wasn't going to compare it to, and I'm going to buy a Mac probably. Which Mac should I buy? I hadn't even thought to compare it to a PC, but why don't you do it, right? Like you're kind of like, I feel like people are you're getting more information because you know it's going to happen quicker. So you
it's easier.
And it's easy, yeah. I think I'm finding most of my search.
But then who gets
credit for that?
That was my question.
Yeah,
who gets credit?
Yeah. And I think that shopping for a laptop is like more in that like consideration, like you're already down the consideration funnel.
Right.
Someone's getting credit for that. I think on the BuzzFeed side, it's actually like a little bit, you're probably not coming to our site to research the laptop anyway, right? We're thinking about different products that are, maybe more fun and engaging and stuff like that. Or where are the deals, right? Amazon Prime Day happens. Like Amazon is a confusing place to navigate during Prime Day. There's thousands of deals. They leverage publishers to be the front page to that, right? How is that going to happen on an LLM, right?
Yeah, it just
and then
like,
to your point, who gets the credit?
It feels like
unclear.
Attribution and outcomes get very complicated about who gets the credit and who gets paid. And I guess my question is,
those links go away.
Does the LLM get paid?
Yeah. And
right? Does OpenAI and Perplexity and Claude have a deal with Amazon and they get paid?
Yeah.
And that changes the whole conversation.
Exactly. Changes everything. And I think like you hear the rumbling of like, well, if we're going to get into advertising, why don't we start with affiliate? Because they don't want to get into banner ads on the site, which I totally understand.
And affiliate's a little easier. You do a couple deals with a couple of the big players and you collect your fees.
Exactly. Now, the question is, did you need publisher content to get?
Of course they needed publisher content.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about community. Tell me about community on BuzzFeed, what it means to you.
So I think, we were talking earlier, and I think community's always been a part of BuzzFeed, right? So even early days when we're thinking about how do I distribute content, it's like, how do I distribute content to someone that would actually say, hey, this speaks a lot to me, and I want to share it with others, right? It takes a lot of courage to share content today, but back then, that was the rubric for how we made content, right? As we were thinking,
it's even hard sharing content on LinkedIn because you want to get the positive.
You want the positive
feedback. You don't want people to be like, what are you talking about?
Also with AI, everyone on LinkedIn is sort of, now posting a little bit more than I used to see.
It's a little easier for me to post. It's all my original ideas, but then I do.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, it's the confidence boost, right? But to your point, like the sharing courage still is something that I think, there's like a LinkedIn universe to it, but like think about the Facebook universe. You're not even trying to like communicate that way. You're probably just sending it through a text. So we've always thought about content as that, sharing mechanism, and community's always been a really big part of it. How do you write content that let people sort of have that emotion and feel, and there's a psychology behind it. We are thinking even further about community. And, we've endeavored, Jonah wrote a memo at the beginning of the year to...
tell me about the memo. As you're sitting here, it's coming back.
Sort of the anti-snarf memo.
Yes. Okay. It was that weird word.
And snarf sort of stood for everything.
Snarf.
N-A-R-F.
Okay.
So it was like stakes, novelty, and all of these things. I'm just going to like fast forward it. Close your eyes. You're on whatever social platform you're on. There's... the utility of being on that platform has shifted. And it's because there's all of the things that are driving the algorithm are causing creators or individuals to make content that is not as utilitarian as it used to be, right? And so I think that, the more and more time that's spent there and the more and more time that content is sort of just on surface level, not engaging, right? And so that's what's wrong with the platforms from a content perspective because of how the algorithm has shifted it. We're building our own app to sort of also...
Okay, so this
your
own app.
Yeah, which will be called BuzzFeed Island. And BuzzFeed Island will be a place where you can bring into a lot of that community. But a lot of the things that you're also going to see within it is what I like to think about, which is like prompting you to create something with AI.
So inside the app.
Inside the app.
Okay.
And hopefully have sharing and engagement and avoid the AI slop trap, right? And, to do that, you do need editors and you need taste and you need the brand, right? So we have these generators today, which is these image generators that you could go build on ChatGPT or whatever platform, but how many people do it? I think about the LinkedIn, everyone made themselves an action figure.
That lasted about a week.
A week, but nothing else has popped up.
No.
Why? People need to be prompted, right? And I think this app would be an example of creative people getting together and also maybe people who aren't as experienced with AI and don't know how to prompt to build. That was the number one thing in the LinkedIn. You would see everyone be like, can someone send me the prompt for the action figure thing?
Oh, okay.
And, we, BuzzFeed and BuzzFeed Island could be sort of a gateway to that creation.
And when is this BI app going to get launched?
We're in beta right now. And
have you played with it?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. And we, a lot of things to work out and working out what does monetization look like and all those things, but launch in Q1.
It'll be different than
it'll be different.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be different. Right?
Different scary though, right?
Different scary, but I also think, we talk to a lot of AI companies together and vendors and
about the app.
No. I'm saying you and I have seen a lot of vendors, and a lot of vendors are kind of bringing you the okay, publisher, let us power AI search on your website. And I'm kind of that's not the future.
No, that's just a little incremental step.
It's a little incremental step, but no one was really searching on any of our websites anyway. So why does it even need to be AI? This is a different version of and I think there will be many takes and tries at this. What does the web look like in the future?
Okay, let me ask you my analyst question. How do you get distribution for the app?
How do you get distribution? A lot of the things, like I mentioned, these generators, they live on BuzzFeed today. They could also live on the app. So there'll be this sort of linkage between BuzzFeed and the app. And then there'll be a lot of work to do what every app creator, does, which is how do you get people to sign up? Right. We have a long beta list and things like that. But, we have exposure between our websites as a publisher, but also how do you do paid and how do you do a lot of other things? So, and then you can gamify it and think about a lot of, more entertaining ways to sort of grow.
It's kind of exciting though, to try to build something
totally new
from scratch.
Yeah. From scratch, because I also think that's one version, like I said, this is one version of what the future could look like. And I think we know that the future might not look like what exists today.
Well, we were talking before, there's four versions.
Yeah.
Right?
What were they again?
My point of view is there's the desktop website.
Yeah.
There's the mobile website. There's the app for those who have it.
Yeah.
Traditionally a derivative of the desktop and mobile website. In your case, something different.
Yeah.
And there's also the future agentic web, where basically the LLMs borrow, take, steal your content and give it a better way for you to get the answer.
Yeah.
So those are the four ways. And I guess there used to be the Facebook, but that's sort of going away. So they're all different. Which ones stay? Which ones go away?
Right.
What does the future look like?
And I think we're in a period of okay, well, the one, we know radio still exists. We know websites will still exist. There's going to be things that still exist, but what is going to be the thing that is gathering more heat? Right?
And not too many publishers are creating anything new as of late.
Correct. Yeah.
So I give you all the kudos in the world for trying to create something new that hasn't been done.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone is in the rooms having very similar conversations, and
But it also takes a big investment to do that.
Correct. And I think another way, it also takes an investment of opportunity cost. Hey, if we're going to put this over here, what does it mean to the thing that might be making the most money right now, right? And you have to have a forward-looking vision. And Jonah and team have, are very good at that and trying to see around corners.
And what's your overall take on the LLMs and the data they are using to build out the greatest technology we've ever seen? Give me your...
Yeah, I mean, I think like any publisher, I'm probably in the boat of like, okay, like where's our payment or our traffic and what's in it for us and how do we build a future together? We're very LLM friendly and I truly think there is this link between, hey, there's all these things you can make on the LLM. You need the publishers to say this is something that's possible.
Well,
right?
there's 4 things you need, right? You need the NVIDIA chips, you need the electricity, and you need the content. I guess there's 3. You need the content, right?
Right. And they're not going to make the content. Now they've taken it. and okay, we're past the conversation of, hey, you stole this, and toward the future conversation of like, okay, I'm writing something new. What's the pay per query or what's the pay per crawl? Which I do believe in, but there's a lot of questions on how we get there. The main question being, are they willing to pay in that capacity, right?
Well, I think they're willing to pay if there's a marketplace that makes it easy for them to pay as well.
Right. And
you always hear, and I agree, they're not going to do 10,000 deals with 10,000 publishers.
Yeah.
They need to find a way to do a couple deals across hundreds of publishers that are all together in a marketplace.
Correct. And what does that marketplace look like? And I think a lot of people are like, oh, this is a new version of programmatic, and how do you invest in it? And it's like, if it is true that trying to cater to the agentic web and bots reading our websites as much or more than humans, we could optimize for both. But it's unclear if that's going to be where the money is. So if the new version of programmatic is this marketplace, I'm in, because that would suggest that people are willing to pay.
I think there's going to be separate, different marketplaces.
Yeah.
Someone today told me they're trying to build a marketplace for just affiliate content.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like,
I think we're not at the place. This is, my opinion about most things is specificity breeds the innovation, right? So
right, he got very specific, and I had that aha moment when he was telling me that.
Yeah, I think there's some brands too of like, hey, what is publisher content to a financial brand, right? And there's a reason of what publishers are writing or news is writing that could impact markets or an investor. That's a really specific use case, but I get it. And today we're talking about the larger one LLM, if it's Google or OpenAI, but what about the thousands of smaller marketplaces that are trying to build something really specific?
And you brought up the Ozzy Osbourne, right? There must have been every single website we know wrote a story about Ozzy Osbourne, right? But if you go to the LLM, you ask the question, it's going to query 10 or 15 of those. Yeah. The other ones,
and it will have probably the right information. And then it becomes a little bit of, okay, what are we making? Like, should we write the same article everyone wrote on that, or do you write something more unique? Yeah,
probably something more unique, at least for the agentic web.
Exactly.
The human web could be the same thing. The agentic web feels like it needs to be a little bit unique and a different perspective to get some credit for the derivative use of it.
Yeah, like the LLMs are like, we're willing to pay for New England Journal of Medicine. Like, I get that. They're the only ones publishing that. And where that leaves an entertainment publisher or a publisher of this like news content that is it's fast. You're going to write the Ozzy Osbourne content or whatever it is of the week. How much, going back to the pay per query or pay per crawl, maybe we assume we're all getting paid less for that. Versus, hey, this is an in-depth article that we did with him 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, well, I think the amount of money the publishers get paid by the agentic web, depending on the
versus
quality,
the human web,
is going to be totally different. It's something we haven't thought about of what's going to actually make their models better.
And we're trying to compare it. We spend a lot of time trying to think about like, okay, well, what is our RPM based on Google, based on Google search where we get traffic, like what's the RPM on that? Okay, is that the fair value of what a pay per query should be? maybe, but in one instance, to your point, a human's doing it, and the other one, a robot is doing it.
Right.
There's a human on the other side, though. But you don't even know if your sort of the information you gave makes it to the query, right? There's so much information you don't know about.
Yeah,
how
and
the
I've seen a
content's
bunch
getting out
of
there.
companies saying I can tell you what percentage of each article I use.
Yes.
Like, that gets real, and maybe that's
Really
part of the answer.
interesting,
But it feels like if 10 companies did the same exercise, they come up with 10 different answers or 11 different answers.
11 different answers, and then it's sort of supposed to guide, okay, what should we be making, or what kind of deals do we go after, and everything. And this is like a sort of classic statement, is like, well, we should all go back to our strengths, and if we're the best at affiliate content or food content or news or whatever it's supposed to be, do that, and then we figure out how to monetize from
In
there.
your role at BuzzFeed, you spend a lot of time talking to the editorial side of the house?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think like even that question of like, hey, do we want AI search to live as a toolbar on the site, right? There's the tech and editorial side of the house, and where I sit on the business side, those things are just getting closer and closer together, right? I think no longer can we be so far away, because the technology is actually bringing it much closer.
I just feel like it's so hard to say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Editorial person,
Oh, yeah.
you should make this for the agentic web.
Correct.
And they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. Editorial freedom, very, very important. I guess
But they need direction, though, in the agentic. At least on the human web,
Yeah.
this did this many visitors, this many pages. I had 7 ads per page. I had 3 minutes time spent. On the agentic web, how do you even know if it's working or not?
Yeah, and I think it depends on who we're HuffPost, news, journalism. Okay, that's one thing, but then it's not that different than saying we should be writing for this type of SEO because that's what Google cares about. It's what people are searching for, right? And you never say, "Oh, please go write that." You're sort of providing the tools.
They see the data and they know this worked right. But in the agentic web, like, you need.
But
that data.
we don't have the data, and I think in addition to money or traffic, well, look, they're not doing deals with everybody. How can we get the data and be closer to it so we can optimize for it?
And my favorite term, there's such an asymmetry of information between what we know and the AI companies know.
Correct.
It makes it virtually impossible to make decisions because you have no data.
Yeah, and the truth is everything is that much more unique, right? Go back to the search piece. Keyword information set that should be shared. Now it's keyword and customized information set that should be shared. And that makes things way more complicated as to like what worked.
What do you mean customized information?
Meaning like, you're typically just matching keywords to like articles that were made. Now you're reading a response and the AI is creating. If you and I search for the same thing, we're going to use a relatively different prompt, but it's going to give us different answers for the most part.
Right. And the amount, I think the length of the prompts and the AI agents is getting
That's what I mean. Yeah. Longer, because longer is better. And, there's a novice sort of prompt writer to a more advanced prompt writer. We're in an early stage where people are still adopting. So it's only going to get that much more advanced.
Right. But it's been since November of 22. So it's been like a little more than 2.5 years. And the amount of energy and activity and money that's going to this, we've never seen.
And I think we're still not at a human adoption level that is, I don't know what percent I would even put it at, but I could tell you there's a lot of people who are still not using it fully to the capability, right? And even to myself, everyone keeping up with all of these things, right? It becomes more of a very different than how did you adopt search or how did you adopt Facebook. Those things were actually quite easier to adopt than this.
I wrote something the other day, and I wrote the initial pass on my own, and then I put it into Gemini, got better, and then I went into Claude, and then Perplexity, and then OpenAI.
Are you trying to see the differences or the?
No, I said, here's my 7 points. What else am I missing?
Yeah.
And they each gave me 10 more points, but they weren't that good. 2 of the 10 were good.
Yeah.
But by the time I used all of them, I got to 12 points. It was like, that's optimal.
Yeah.
But I had to use all 4 because you realize they're all trained so differently and think so differently. They're not even close to being the same.
Yeah. And it's not that hard to go to 3 or 4 of them either, right? You're copy pasting and moving things around.
Yeah, what I'm really waiting for is AI built into the browser.
Yeah. The comment seems really interesting, and I know OpenAI is talking about it, and that seems like the game changer, and the game changer for things like, okay, what does monetization really look like for them? Because when you're talking about it within a search experience, but now you're talking about a browser, you have ad space. That's something I think about a lot, and I know
And on desktop, there's a lot of space.
they don't need to do it right now, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for I don't want to move to a new browser. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
Right. So I want to wait until Chrome gets AI built into it, which will happen in the next 2 or 3 or 4 months.
Sure. Yeah.
And that would just be a potential game changer about how you use the internet.
Yeah, and I think as people also adopt whatever LLM they like, they'll start to sort of, this is going to be a battle of user experience.
And I think the LLMs all have different personalities, so use them for different reasons.
Exactly. But I think within that battle of user experience, and Google has it connected to all their suite of products, OpenAI is making new products, and I still think that there's something about the specificity of different agents or agents for different things that maybe could be branded as a publisher or be something that is not necessarily, always linking back to the .com. Yeah. Maybe it's just using the IP in a different way.
Okay, so we're going to wrap things up.
Yeah.
Where do you see the industry in 3 or 5 years? 3 or 5 years?
I see a lot of the things that we're trying today, and I say we, and like a lot of publishers creating an app or creating a different experience, like we'll have a lot more information about what that looks like. And I think that, once there is a little traction of, okay, this might be that 4th or 5th version of the web, as you were describing, we might know what it is in 3 to 4 years. Or we might know what has worked or not worked. But I'm not claiming to know what it is, or predict that like it's definitely apps.
And do you think we go beyond the phone? Are there devices? Are the glasses happening? Like that's the hard one for me. Like how do you even envision that?
Well, I go back to like I still feel like not everyone has adopted the text-based thing we have.
Okay.
And to jump to glasses, sure, it could happen in 3 years, but it's probably still a small community of people that are doing it. And is it just novelty, or is it actually, no, these things are utility?
And is it accepted in the community you're in, right?
Correct.
To wear those glasses, to have a listening device.
Yeah. And maybe there's probably a stronger future in IRL and events. Like that is only going to, in 3 to 4 years, as these things, to your point of, maybe the adoption is not just on the phone, and the adoption is all of these far advanced technologies that are happening so quickly in 3 to 4 years. I think there'll be a lot of rejoice to an event with no phones or something like that, right? Or just people getting together more in person without them as well, and maybe there's a duality to it, right? Like we all like our AI when it's making us feel superhuman or really confident to do things, but then we also need to sort of separate.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine having the AI that like sits on your chest or your wrist, listens to everything. You come home, is like, okay, how'd I do today? And it gives you a score.
Yeah.
But then again, like, what are my next steps? What did I promise I need to do today?
Yeah.
Like that gets cool in some ways.
No, I mean,
but it fundamentally changes the way we interact and we talk to people in the community we live in. Like everything changes when that happens.
Yeah, and like every new note-taking app that came out in years, I was like, oh, I want to try that, and efficiency, and a lot of this is a lot of really great efficiency if used correctly.
Okay.
But it changes, to your point, how we act and what we do.
Okay, one last question.
Yeah.
What are your hobbies besides?
Cooking is a big one, and I have a 2.5-year-old at home.
Okay.
So playing with him, and
what are your favorite things to cook?
Like I have a big green egg, and I like doing the like smoker situation. That's a lot easier to do moving out in LA than in New York. But I also, really enjoy sort of that like, okay, what can we make in the fridge today? Like how do we make it more fun?
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Ken, thank you very much. Great conversation. Producer Andrew, I didn't call you out at all, but thank you very much for being here, making this all happen.
Thank you.
Have any questions, let us know. Tune in, share, text me if you want to. All good. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.